Something is being taken from the sky over your head. Somewhere in the darkness right now, entire galaxies are crossing an invisible line, and once they cross it, their light will never reach Earth again. Not in a billion years. Not ever. They are not dying. They are being removed from the reachable universe, silently and permanently, and no future telescope, no matter how powerful, will ever get them back. The sky you were born under is measurably larger than the sky you will die under. This is not a theory. It is written into the expansion of the universe itself, and it begins at a line the James Webb telescope recently touched. The edge of everything we are allowed to see. To understand what is stealing the galaxies, you first have to stand at that edge and see what is actually there. If you are new here, subscribe. This channel builds its fear from verified science only, and what follows is all real. The road to that edge is paved with broken records, and the tradition of breaking them began with what looked like a waste of a telescope. In 1995, astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a patch of sky near the Big Dipper that appeared completely, uselessly empty. No stars, no known objects, a hole in the map. They held it there for 10 days, and colleagues grumbled, because telescope time is precious, and this was staring at nothing. Then the exposure came back, carrying roughly 3,000 galaxies. 3,000, in a speck of blackness you could cover with a grain of sand held at arm's length. Every empty direction in the sky, it turned out, was only empty the way a dark room is empty before the lights come on. That single stubborn photograph taught astronomy its most productive habit. Point at the void, wait, and let the depth confess. Webb inherited that habit with a mirror 6 times larger and eyes built for the infrared, and in its hands, the confessions have not stopped. The most recent record broke only months ago. For a while, the most distant thing any human had ever seen was a galaxy whose light left it 290 million years after the Big Bang. Then, at the start of 2026, the record changed hands. A galaxy cataloged as MOM-Z14, confirmed by the James Webb telescope, pushed the mark to 280 million years, closer to the beginning than anything ever observed. The astronomer leading the team said that with Webb, we are seeing farther than humans have ever seen, and that what we find there looks nothing like what we predicted. He was not exaggerating. Bright galaxies like this one are turning up in the universe's first chapter at roughly 100 times the rate the theories allowed, a mystery this channel has opened before, and one that is still not closed. Records like this used to stand for decades. Webb retires them in months. Each new deep field is opened, combed, and somewhere in the frame a smudge of light turns out to be older than the last one, and the mark moves again. From the outside, it looks like a telescope collecting trophies. But this video is not about that mystery, and it is not about the trophies. It is about what that record actually means. Because every time Webb breaks it, the telescope is doing something stranger than photographing a galaxy. It is walking toward a shoreline. There is a place where the visible universe stops, a real border, present in every direction you can point, and MOM-Z14 sits almost against it. Almost. Old mapmakers had a habit that feels familiar here. When the known coastline ran out, they did not leave the parchment blank. They drew a border, decorated it with sea monsters, and wrote warnings over the water beyond. Everyone understood the line was not the end of the world, only the end of the surveyed world. The map Webb is drawing has a border too, except this one is not a decoration. It can be calculated. It has a defined distance in every direction. and no instrument that will ever be built can survey past it. Humanity has finally produced a map whose edge is not ignorance. The edge is on the map itself. And to understand what kind of border could possibly be real in a universe with no walls, start with the numbers of that record galaxy, because they hide a quiet insanity. Its light traveled for about 13.5 billion years to reach Webb's mirror. So you would say it sits 13.5 billion light years away. It does not. Today, at this moment, that galaxy is more than 30 billion light years from Earth. The letter took 13.5 billion years to arrive, and somehow the sender is now 30 billion light years down the road. That arithmetic cannot work if space is a fixed stage where things simply move. And that is the first thing the edge forces you to accept. Space is not a stage. Space itself stretches. While that light was traveling, every stretch of a road behind it and ahead of it kept growing, the way a crack widens while an insect is still crossing it. The galaxy did not race away from us through space. The space between us and the galaxy grew relentlessly for 13.5 billion years, and it is growing right now, under this sentence, between you and everything you have ever seen in the night sky. This is easier to accept once you notice that the sky was never showing you the present anyway. Every light you have ever seen was old news on arrival. The sun you saw this morning is the sun of 8 minutes ago. If it vanished right now, you would live a full 8 minutes in the warm light of a star that no longer exists. The nearest star beyond it shows you 4 years ago. Andromeda, the farthest thing your naked eye can find, hangs in the autumn sky as it was 2.5 million years in the past, before your species had a name for fire. The sky is not a view of the universe. It is a stack of expired moments, arranged by distance, and nobody, anywhere, has ever once seen the universe as it is now. And because the stretching adds up with distance, there is a consequence your intuition will want to reject. That galaxy, today, is receding from us faster than the speed of light. Nothing is breaking Einstein's law, because nothing is moving through space that fast. The road itself is growing faster than anything could ever drive on it. Hold on to that detail. It sounds like a technicality now. By the end of this story, it will be the whole horror. A universe that stretches while you watch it raises an obvious question. How far back can you actually see? Push past MOM-Z14, deeper than any galaxy, and you do not find more galaxies. You find a wall. Before the universe was 380,000 years old, it was not transparent. All of space was filled with a glowing fog of plasma, so hot and so dense that light could not travel through it in a straight line. Every photon was absorbed and scattered the instant it was born. Then the universe cooled just enough. The fog let go, and the light of that moment has been flying ever since. We can still see it. It arrives from every direction in the sky, stretched by the expansion into faint microwaves, and it is the oldest light that exists. Point any instrument as deep as you like. And this is where seeing ends. A curtain of first light, the universe's own baby glow, wrapped around us in a perfect sphere. When you look at the edge of the visible universe, you're not looking at empty black. You're looking at fire, cooled and faded, from a time before a single star existed. You have probably even seen it yourself. A fraction of the static that hissed on old untuned televisions was this exact signal, the afterglow of the Big Bang, leaking into a living room. People spent evenings annoyed at a screen that was showing them the beginning of the universe. That curtain is the deepest photograph that will ever be possible. And understand what that means. It is not a limit of our technology. It is a limit of the universe's honesty. The first 380,000 years are sealed behind their own glare, a chapter the cosmos wrote, and then never allowed anyone to read with light. Better mirrors will not help. Bigger telescopes will not help. The wall doesn't care how carefully you look at it, and it looks, for all the world, like the edge of everything. It is not. And here is where the map you carry in your head starts to come apart. That wall of first light is not a place in the universe. Nothing is physically standing there. It is a horizon, and a horizon is not a feature of the world. It is a feature of you. Stand on a shore and look out to sea. The water ends in a clean line. The sky comes down to meet it, and the ocean visibly stops. Except, it does not stop. Sail toward that line, and it retreats ahead of you forever, because the line was never on the ocean. It was drawn by your own eyes, by the height of your view and the curve of the earth, and it moves when you move. The edge of the visible universe is exactly that kind of line. It exists because light has a speed limit, and the universe has an age. The border simply marks the distance from which light has had time to reach us since the beginning. Nothing special is happening there. Galaxies at the edge of our vision are not pressed against a boundary. From where they float, everything looks calm, ordinary, mid-ocean. A ship sitting on your horizon does not experience sitting on an edge. It has its own horizon, a full circle of sea drawn around itself, and half of that circle covers water you cannot see from the shore. The ship is at the rim of your world and the center of its own. The universe does not have an edge there. Your view does. And once you accept that the line is drawn by the viewer, the next realization follows you home. If the horizon is defined by light reaching you, then it is centered on you. The visible universe is a sphere, about 93 billion light years across, and you are standing at its exact center. Not humanity, not the Earth. You move to another galaxy, and the sphere moves with you, recentered on your new position like a searchlight that never stops following its owner. Which means the astronomer in some galaxy near our horizon is standing at the center of their own 93 billion light-year sphere. And half of what they can see, we never will. Their sky overlaps ours like two circles of lamplight on a dark floor, each fading into a darkness the other can reach, which quietly redefines what the word universe even points at. The universe you can talk about, measure, and prove is a private sphere issued to you at birth, centered on your body, and no two observers in existence own the same one. There are, in the most literal sense, parts of the universe that exist right now, full of galaxies and stars, and perhaps someone counting them, that sit outside our sphere entirely. Not hidden, not dark. Simply too far for their light to have arrived yet, in all the time there has ever been. And the sphere is not even standing still. Every day, light that has been traveling since the beginning completes its trip for the first time, from sources a little deeper than yesterday's, which means the visible universe is physically larger tonight than it was last night. New regions clear the threshold constantly, ancient light making landfall on Earth after a crossing that outlasted the oceans it lands beside. The map grows while you sleep. Remember that, because the cruelest turn in this story is what the growing map cannot save. Here's the strangest part of living inside such a sphere. You have been looking at its edge your whole life without knowing it. Step outside on a clear night and notice truly notice that the sky is dark. It should not be. If the universe were infinitely old and unchanging, every line of sight, extended far enough, would land on the surface of some star, the way every path drawn through a thick forest eventually meets a tree trunk. The whole night sky should blaze like the surface of the sun from horizon to horizon forever. It does not, and the darkness is not because there are too few stars. The darkness is the horizon. Every black gap between the stars is a line of sight that ran out of universe, a direction in which light has not had time to reach you, stretched and dimmed into invisibility by the expansion along the way. The night is not empty. The night is the edge, and it has been hanging over every generation of your family since the first one looked up. So the great question, the one this video exists to answer, splits cleanly in two. What lies beyond the edge? For the horizon, the honest answer is almost certainly more universe. More galaxies, more of the same cosmic web, continuing past our sphere the way the ocean continues past the shoreline's fake edge. How much more is a genuinely open question. We can even put a number on the guess. The geometry of space leaves fingerprints on that first light curtain, and satellites have mapped it across the entire sky, hunting for any hint that space curves back on itself the way the Earth's surface does. They found none. Space measures geometrically flat to a precision of a fraction of a percent. Here is what that means for size. When a surface looks perfectly flat from where you stand, either it truly goes on forever, or it is so enormous that your entire visible world is too small a patch to detect the curve, the way a farmer's field betrays nothing about the shape of the planet it sits on. Both options are humbling, and the second one is the conservative option. A flat universe, in its simplest form, does not need to stop anywhere. It may be vastly larger than what we see. Or, and this is a hypothesis, not a finding, it may simply be infinite. Take a moment with that word, because it is not a poetic flourish. It is a live possibility in the equations. Space that continues past our horizon without limit. Galaxy after galaxy, forever, with no final one. We cannot verify it, and we may never be able to, because verification requires light, and light from out there has not had time to exist for us. The largest true fact about the universe may be permanently on the wrong side of the curtain. But notice what that answer quietly did. It answered the question of what is beyond the edge of seeing. It said nothing about the edge of the universe itself. The outer edge, the one your intuition insists on. The skin of the balloon, the wall at the end of everything, the place where the universe finally runs out and something else begins. That edge is the one everyone actually asks about. If the universe is expanding, it must be expanding into something. There must be an outside. There's a real answer to that question, and it is the strangest thing in this entire story, stranger than the stolen galaxies, stranger than the fire at the edge of vision. Because the honest, measured, boring-sounding truth is that the question itself is built on a picture of the universe that is wrong. And when that picture breaks, the word outside breaks with it. And it breaks in a way that leaves something behind. One edge in this universe that is not an illusion, not a trick of the viewer, not a line that retreats as you approach. An edge that is real, that surrounds you tonight, and that is moving. Not the way the sea horizon moves, following the viewer like a loyal dog. This one moves on its own schedule, tightening its territory according to a force nobody has explained, and it was discovered by accident by two teams of astronomers who were looking for the opposite of what they found. That edge is not drawn by your eyes, and it does not care where you stand. It is carved by the expansion itself, by that detail from earlier, the roads that grow faster than light can drive. On the near side of it are all the galaxies whose light can still, someday, finish the crossing to your sky. On the far side are the ones whose light set out and will never finish, photons still flying, faithfully, toward a destination the universe is pulling away from them faster than they can fly. That edge is where the galaxies are disappearing, and it is where this story is going next. Before we can stand at that real edge, the broken question has to be taken apart. Because as long as it stands, it will keep rebuilding the wrong universe in your head. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? Feel how reasonable that sounds. Everything you have ever watched grow, a balloon, a fire, a city, grew into room that was already there, waiting to be filled. Growth needs somewhere to go. So when you hear that the universe is expanding, your mind quietly builds a warehouse. A dark, empty, larger space, with our universe swelling inside it like a balloon on a table. Every part of that picture feels obvious, and every part of it is wrong, starting with the table. Here is what the measurements actually describe. The expansion of the universe is not the universe moving outward through anything. It is distance itself increasing everywhere, between everything, all at once. Take the balloon your mind built, but throw away the room it was inflating in. Throw away the table, throw away the air around it, and keep only the rubber surface. Imagine ants living on that surface, and imagine the surface is all that exists. As the rubber stretches, every ant watches every other ant drift away, and the farther the other ant, the faster it recedes, because there is more stretching rubber between them. No ant is at the center of this, because the surface has no center. No ant is at the edge, because the surface has no edge. And the surface is not spreading into the room, because in this picture, there is no room. There is only the surface, and the surface is growing. Now take that flat rubber sheet and make it three-dimensional space. The space in your bedroom, the space between your eyes and this screen, the space inside your bones, and you finally have the universe the equations describe. Galaxies are not flying away from an explosion site. New distance is being created between them, the way new rubber appears between the ants. And it is being created here too, in this room, this second, feebly, everywhere, forever. This is not philosophy. It is what the sky actually shows. If the galaxies were shrapnel from an explosion in space, we would see them thinning out around some scarred central point, a place the debris remembers. We see nothing of the kind. In every direction, to the limits of vision, the universe looks statistically the same, and every galaxy sees every other galaxy receding, each one convinced it is the still point of the flight. There is no crime scene, because the scene of the crime is everywhere. You are inside the explosion now. It never had an address, and it never ended. Before that raises the wrong alarm, deal with the question it plants in every careful listener. If new distance is being born everywhere, including inside your bones, why are you not expanding with it? Why does the ruler not stretch along with the road it measures? Because expansion is not a command. It is a tendency, and it is weak, so weak that any decent glue overrules it. The electromagnetic forces holding your molecules together crush it locally without noticing. The gravity binding the Earth to the Sun and the Sun to the galaxy wins the same fight at larger scales. Even between whole galaxies, gravity can win if they stand close enough. Andromeda is not receding from us at all. It is falling toward us, its light shifted blue, scheduled to merge with the Milky Way in about 4.5 billion years. Expansion only rules the deep gaps between galaxy groups, the wastelands where gravity's grip has thinned to nothing. Keep that division of territory in mind. Gravity holding the neighborhoods, expansion owning the emptiness between them. Because at the end of this story, that division decides exactly who is left in the sky. That picture quietly executes the question, expanding into what demands an outside, and an outside demands space beyond space. But if space is the thing that is growing, and space is all there is, then there is no beyond for it to grow into. The same way there is nothing north of the North Pole. The North Pole is not a wall with forbidden land behind it. It is simply where the word north stops meaning anything. The edge of the universe, the outer one, the skin your intuition keeps insisting on, fails the same way. It is not that the wall is far away, or hidden, or unreachable. It is that the universe, as far as every measurement can tell, is not the kind of object that has an outer surface at all. The question does not get answered. It gets dissolved, the way a riddle about the corners of a circle dissolves. It has no center where it began, because it began everywhere, including in the exact coordinates where your kitchen now stands. The Big Bang did not happen somewhere far away. It happened where you are sitting. The universe has just been stretching that spot apart from every other spot ever since. And to be honest, the way this channel is honest, some serious hypotheses do imagine other regions, other bubbles of space, beyond anything we could label ours. Those ideas remain unproven and perhaps unprovable, and they do not rescue the warehouse either way. Even in those pictures, there is no shelf our universe sits on. The outside your intuition wants has simply never been on the menu. There is no door in the sky, because there is nothing for a door to open onto. So the outer edge dies, and it would be a clean, almost comforting ending, if not for the promise this story made at the start. One edge survives the demolition, and it is not a trick of perspective. Go back to that detail you were told to hold. Distant galaxies recede faster than light, because the road grows faster than anything can travel it. Now follow that fact to its conclusion. In 1998, two rival teams of astronomers measured exploding stars in distant galaxies, both expecting to clock how much the expansion was slowing down. Both found the same impossible thing. The expansion is speeding up. Something, and dark energy is a name, not an explanation, is pressing on the accelerator of the universe, and it has been winning for the last 5 billion years. And when the books of the universe were balanced around that discovery, the accountancy came out obscene. Whatever this pressure is, it amounts to roughly 70% of everything the universe contains. All the galaxies, all the stars, all the gas and dust and planets, and every atom that has ever touched you, the entire visible inventory of existence, is a minority stake. The controlling share belongs to the thing doing the stretching. The universe is not mostly matter, with some expansion happening to it. The universe is mostly the force that is carrying it away from you. An expansion that accelerates, backed by a majority like that, does something an ordinary expansion never would, it draws a line around you. A real one. Beyond a certain distance, roughly 16 billion light years from where you sit, space is being created too fast for light to ever cross the growing gap. A ray of light leaving a galaxy out there tonight, aimed straight at Earth, will never arrive. Not late. Never. The photon does not slow down, does not weaken, does not give up. It flies at the fastest speed the universe allows, forever, while the road ahead of it grows faster than it can fly. It is a runner on a treadmill that only accelerates, sprinting flawlessly toward a finish line that recedes without pity. That line is the cosmic event horizon, and it is everything the other edges were not. The horizon of seeing was drawn by your eyes. Sail toward it, and it retreats politely, showing you more ocean. This line stays. It is carved by the expansion itself, and it does not care where you stand, what you build, or how long your species survives. It is not the edge of the universe. It is the edge of what the universe will ever again allow to touch you. And notice how the two horizons trade places in the dark. The horizon of seeing grows with time, because light keeps arriving from ever deeper places. The universe keeps handing you more past. The horizon of reaching only tightens, because the acceleration keeps stealing more future. One border feeds your telescopes. The other starves them slowly, from the far side in. We live between a widening window on what happened and a closing door on what can still happen. And only one of those directions is negotiable. Everything inside that line can, in principle, still reach your sky someday. Everything outside it is gone, not destroyed, not dark, but permanently disconnected, sealed off by nothing more exotic than distance that grows too fast. And the theft you were warned about in the first minute of this video is simply this line, doing what it does. As the acceleration continues, galaxy after galaxy drifts across it. By one published calculation, the universe slides out of reach at a pace of roughly 60,000 stars worth every single second. Of all the galaxies we can currently see, about 94% have already crossed. Read that number again. The overwhelming majority of the visible universe, nearly everything Webb photographs in those glittering, deep fields, is already on the far side of the line, still shining, still visible for now, and forever beyond reply. We are looking at a sky that is mostly farewell. It changes what astronomy even is. When Webb spends days staring at one dark patch and returns a field of thousands of glittering early galaxies, it is not scouting territory humanity might one day visit. It is photographing things that were lost before the telescope was built, before the Earth was built. Most of deep astronomy is already archaeology, the careful study of light left behind by places we can never answer. The difference is that ordinary archaeologists dig up civilizations that ended. We are imaging ones that may be thriving right now, forever out of reply. Their sky slowly forgetting ours the way ours is forgetting theirs. The crossing itself is quieter than you would imagine, and somehow that makes it worse. A galaxy does not blink out when it passes the horizon. Its old light, the light it sent before crossing, is still en route and still arrives, so the galaxy stays in our sky like an image on a screen after the cable is cut. But the expansion stretches every arriving wave a little more than the last, so the image reddens and slows. The galaxy's visible clock winds down like a film played at ever slower speed, fading toward a final, frozen, infinitely stretched frame. Astronomers of the far future will not see the sky go out like lamps. They will see it slowly stop moving, then slowly stop glowing, a photograph left in the sun until nothing is left but paper. If that sounds familiar, it should. It is exactly how an object looks as it falls toward a black hole, the image freezing and reddening at the boundary, never quite seen to cross. The resemblance is not a coincidence. Both are horizons, and horizons all die the same way in our eyes. The difference is only in who falls. At a black hole, the object falls away from the universe. Here, the universe falls away from us. And while the images fade, the line keeps working. The sky you were born under really is larger than the sky you will die under. The difference is small on a human lifetime, and it only ever moves in one direction. Run the direction forward, because someone eventually lives at the end of it, and what happens to them has been worked out in the published literature with cold precision. In roughly 100 billion years, the Milky Way and Andromeda will have long since collided and settled into a single elderly galaxy, joined by the small bound family of our local group. Those are the only structures gravity managed to hold against the stretching. Everything else will have crossed the line. Every other galaxy gone from the sky. The afterglow of the Big Bang, that curtain of first light at the edge of vision, will have been stretched so thin that no realistic instrument could ever find it. Now put an astronomer in that era, some curious mind born under that sky, building telescopes, doing everything right. They will look out and see one island of stars floating in an endless, perfect black. No other galaxies, so no way to notice that anything recedes. No afterglow, so no fingerprint of a hot beginning. All the evidence that revealed the expanding universe to us will have been carried over the horizon. The researchers who studied this future concluded, in plain words, that such an observer would deduce a static island universe, one lonely galaxy in an eternal void. That is, almost to the letter, what humanity believed in the year 1900. They will be brilliant. They will be careful. They will be wrong. And the universe itself will have arranged their wrongness by deleting the clues. Perhaps, you might hope, records will survive. Some inherited library from an age that could still see. But 100 billion years is not an archive's lifespan. It is 20,000 times longer than complex life has existed on Earth, long enough for every book, every server, and every language that could read them to be recycled many times over by their own stars. And even if a fragment survived, picture the far astronomer holding it. A document claiming the sky was once full of other galaxies, all of them fleeing, written by beings who claimed to have watched the beginning's afterglow. Against every observation their own flawless instruments can make. We would not believe such a document, neither will they. The expansion does not just steal galaxies. Given time, it steals the knowing. Which uncovers the quietest horror in this whole story. Cosmology has an expiration date, and we happen to exist before it. We can read the universe's history only because we arrived early enough to catch the evidence before it left, in the narrow age when the afterglow is still detectable and other galaxies still hang in the sky. That window is closing at the speed of the acceleration. One honest caveat belongs here. All of this assumes dark energy keeps behaving as it has, and the newest surveys have found faint hints that it may be shifting. Hints, not conclusions, and the far future remains a projection, not a prophecy. But tonight, under the sky, the projection holds, and it puts a timestamp on us that is strange to say out loud. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, and the era in which its history can still be read from inside it spans a few 100 billion more. we are not living near the end of that window. We are living at its opening, among the first minds that could ever have discovered the expansion. And, if the acceleration holds, among the small fraction that ever will. Almost everyone who ever asks what the universe is will be born after the answer has left. Every photon reaching your eyes from another galaxy is a runner that beat the treadmill, one of the last generations of light that ever will. The stars above you tonight are not just far away. They are the fullest sky that anyone standing where you stand will ever get to see, and it is already being edited. And when the far universe finishes leaving, what remains is the near sky, the handful of stars gravity holds close enough to keep. The nearest of them sits just 4 light years away, a small red star with a planet roughly the size of Earth resting in its warm zone. That sounds like consolation, the one neighbor no horizon can steal. It is not consolation. We have been watching that star, and what the instruments record day after day is not a quiet neighbor. The closest door in the galaxy is on fire from the inside. What is happening to that planet and why it keeps happening every single day is another file